Well, alrighty. Welcome to Romera Records a virtual cast. Today we have on Badie Robinson. How's it going, man?
Hey, what's going on?
So met you at the Rockwell training up in
Yep.
Milwaukee, and it was really cool getting to know you, getting to know what you do and everything up there. So I do have some people who might be interested in that kind of stuff. So I did want to go into like kind of what you do and compared to what I do, and
Sure.
I guess just well, okay. So let's start with what you because you took a different route to be where you're at. I remember you was telling us a little bit about
That
that.
is true. Yeah, that is true, man.
Take us back to, I guess, like when you graduate high school, because that's really like where most people's life kind of starts is like
Sure.
high school.
Okay. Well, just for everybody on the podcast, my name is Badie Robinson, and I work for this company called CED. And we're in the automation world, and I'm a repair specialist. But I didn't start out wanting to be a repair specialist. When I left high school, I went to a D3 school for track and field, and I was studying biology, and which turned to exercise science. Which turned to me leaving school entirely after a year. You know what I mean? Uh, it's just I didn't want to be in a lab coat for the rest of my life, and college isn't for everybody. Um, a lot of people think that once you leave high school that you have to go to college and do this track, which is great. I'm not saying that that is not the way to do it. But there are other routes. Um, I I just didn't feel like I had what it took, or I just wasn't engaged. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't engaged with the process. I wasn't in the books kind of person. I wanted to go out and do something with my life. So I left that and I live in upstate New York. So I went to a community college and I wanted to get into business. And their business program wasn't great. So then I left that and I was just really struggling for what I want to do with my life. You know what I mean? Being 19, 20 years old and you don't know what you want to do, you know? Which I think for men, it's really like a big problem where just like they feel like lost in like the beginnings of life. You know what I mean? Like it a lot of uncertainty when you don't know what you want to do with yourself. But I was blessed, yeah. So I was blessed to have a family friend that was you're not going to go back to school for biology. And I was like, nah, I just don't think that's my thing anymore. And he was like, okay, well, do you want to get into sales? And I was like, yes, that's exactly going to people, going to customers, doing the little song and dance to make the sale. Like I think that's what I wanted to do. And he was like, okay, come work for me. So I went down and took a test and I passed and I was on my way to working in the industry. So
So I do want to talk about your track history. What'd you do in track?
sure. So in track, I was a sprinter. Um, I went to SUNY Potsdam. It's right on the Canadian border. And I think I did pretty good. I got their 60-meter record, one of the first meets that we did, which was really, really cool. Got to see your name, on like a URL code. That was really cool to see. It's broken by now. There's so many more talented athletes up there since I left. But no, it's seriously power to them. Uh, but yeah, I've really enjoyed Potsdam. I like the school. I mean, my twin brother, we were actually roommates at the time, and as soon as he graduated, we both went up there, and he's still up there becoming a teacher, and he's still running, and I'm still supporting all my teammates that I used to talk to, and um, but yeah, I thought that was really awesome, and I just love track. I just thought it was like it's all about you kind of sport. Sure, it's a team, right? But you're the only one running.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So you're in your head, you're on the line. When I was in high school, to get to there, I we won our it wasn't a state championship, it was a section title. Won my section title in the 100-meter dash, which was really cool for my school because we didn't win anything. Just a small town, everybody knows everybody kind of school. So that was really cool, and I do miss, everybody misses their prime. You know what I mean? Like everybody misses those school sports and all them teams. But I'm glad I did it. And I mean, I'm in such a better place now, and leaving it behind, I'm okay with it. So,
So so I did track, but I did shot put and discus when I
yeah,
did. And so, yeah, you're right. It is an individual sport, but it's also team based. But I'm curious
Hmm.
on the difference between college and high school. Did you notice a difference in that team base? Because, like, so where I went to high school, it was a smaller high school. Like, I graduated with about like 100 people. Um, when we would go to some track meets, we would notice that like they would have some stuff that we normally didn't do. So, like, some schools might have, javelin might be a big thing, and then some schools might not
Yeah,
even.
that was a big one. Yeah, javelin and pole vault. You
Yeah,
know what I
and
mean? Like that,
pole vault.
like I would say like richer schools had that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like these schools with a lot of money, a lot of kids. I did see that. But in college, I think it was more skill based in these big universities. I went to a state school personally, but for those private schools that I visited and attended, they had a lot of money. You know what I mean? They had a lot of money, and there was a broader scheme, and it was more skill based. So if you wanted to go and try like D3, I think it was a little bit different maybe from D1, you know? But it was a lot different, more skill based. Wasn't a lot of just, oh, we're just a small school kind of thing. Like it was like you're either competing or you're not, you
Mm,
know? So that was kind of the thing for my school where once you got to college, you wanted to win. You know
yeah.
what I mean? I think that high school, I think like high school track, um, it's because you don't play baseball. You know what I mean? Like you got those kids that their parents just want to have them do something in the summertime, just to get them out of the house, get them out from winter. But I would say, yeah, definitely skill based. Um, but there was just a whole broader things that you could do it. At my school, we didn't have javelin, we didn't have pole vault, we didn't have steeplechase. You know what I mean? Just like stuff like that. And
What's steeplechase?
um, yeah, steeplechase. You know what that is?
No.
Oh, awesome. Okay, cool. I get to teach somebody else for a change. So steeplechase is uh I forgot the distance, but it's a more longer distance, and it's with this giant steel beam hurdle, and on the end of it, it's a pool of water. So you're running on the track, and you jump over the beam, and then into this water pit, not far, maybe like 3 feet, and then you do that over and over and over again. I think it's man, I want to say 5K, but that's a long time to do
Mm.
that. So I don't really know. It is far. It is far, but
So I've seen it, but I had no idea that's what that was called. Like, I
no
just thought it
kidding.
was like a different kind of hurdles. Like, I was like,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know what's going on right now, but
yeah.
yeah, we didn't do that when I was in high school. At least
Sure, sure.
at like the regions or areas, whatever that we would go
Yeah,
to.
yeah, yeah.
We never did
Yeah,
steeplechase.
I always loved watching it. I loved watching it. It was pretty cool. People like maybe you're like in the back of the race and there's just a kid who belly flops into the pool. You know what I mean? Like, no, it's super funny, man. And I think track is just such an interesting thing to watch. I mean, you can watch it. It takes a long time, but I could watch every event and feel something different about it. Like, oh, that guy just passed that guy, but they still have like 4 laps. You know what I mean? Or it's of the 100-meter dash where if you pass them a little bit, then you win kind of thing, you know? So, I mean, it's just a cool thing to watch and you could really grow up in the sport like yourself and that was a big thing for me is I stopped playing baseball. I was a big baseball player actually before I did track. And I just was like, man, I'm not really like affecting my team. I don't play, you know what I mean? And then when I hit track, I just was like really fast, right? So then it's just like motivation. Like I felt like Lightning McQueen. You know
Mm.
what I mean? Like when you said like I am speed kind of thing. Like you go through those moments, man. And I just think it was really cool for me to experience that.
So when let's say, you're just doing it and you're doing well in track, and
Yeah.
if your team isn't doing great, like, how does that feel? Like, what is that like?
Um,
Because
well, we did lose a lot. I'm not gonna lie to you, we lost a lot. So I would say it sucks. It sucks because it it is a team sport. You have a team, just like Team USA, in the Olympics. I bet those guys, they're all doing their own things, but when you see somebody else not do as great, it does hurt. You'd be like, "Oh, come on, buddy," just like getting into the zone, becoming a team, and like it's all a mental thing, and it does suck when some of your team doesn't do as well.
Mm.
You know, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't. It's like, man, they could have done this better. Then we'll have to work on this in practice. Maybe it won't even be your event. You know what I mean? I didn't do shot put, I didn't do discus, but I knew maybe like if your technique wasn't perfect, like from a third person point of view. You know what I mean? Like say maybe they weren't pivoting their foot enough on the spin, or maybe they lost balance and lost 3 yards, you know? So I would say that like in the practice part of it, like when you come back from the meet, the next day, talk with your teammates. Talk with your teammates, and it's a real good place to be when you can all know your teammates and know what they go through and know what they're doing, even if it's not your event. So that's what I would say about that. Is it does suck when losing, but I think that as a team, you can make each other better individually. You know?
Yeah, I think track is the like one of the sports to where you could know literally nothing about what you're doing
Yep.
until like
Mhm.
the moment it pops up, like that event pops up or like the season or whatever, and and still excel. Like so as I said, I did all the throwing events and I was not that great at javelin. So my big thing was shot put. Like I would win. Um, I think I won the county in shot put and discus, and then I think I came in second in my region in shot put, but I came in first in discus. And
That's
then
awesome.
I honestly don't even remember what place I came in state because
Yeah.
like I knew so I was in 4A. And so in Alabama they have 1 through 3A go against each other and then 4 through 6A goes against each other. And so
Hmm.
go to state, I'm going, 4 through 6A people and like some of these guys just like monsters. Like this one dude, I remember him vividly. I met him there, and I was so happy to meet him because I knew that he played football against some teams that I had played against, and he ended up playing fullback for Auburn, and then
Wow.
another guy uh, played football for Alabama, and another guy played football.
Football guys are into track, man.
Yeah,
Football guys are into track.
and they're the best athletes on the team.
Yes. I I I 100% agree with that. And like NBA players, I think that the best all-around athlete is a football player. Strong, fast. Like I don't know, there's always like a big debate like NBA players, can they play in the NFL, or if NFL players can play in the NBA. They're two different sports, but I think like if you want to put them in the Olympics, dude, I want my freaking, NFL guy, dude. I want that guy.
I mean, look
So,
look at Tyreek Hill. Like Tyreek Hill
exactly.
has been talking
Yeah.
about racing against some of the best track guys.
I
So
saw a thing about DK Metcalf. Like
yeah,
when he when he I think he did he do Olympic trials?
yeah, he did the trials and ran the 100.
Yeah.
I think he came in like so in his heat. For people who
Yeah.
don't know, a heat is like a round of um. So if they have like 4 heats, that means it's kind of like 4 rounds of people that they're seeing who is going to make it to the next round, and then there's usually about 8 people in 8 lanes in a 100. In his heat,
Yeah.
I think he came in like next to last or maybe sixth or something like that. But he's racing against some of the fastest people who are probably like 80 pounds less than him because he's like a
Yeah.
220, 230 pound.
That dude is a giant. That is a big man.
So like most people, I would say Usain Bolt was an anomaly. Like he was like 6'5"
Yeah.
and like
Yep.
maybe 200 or something like that. And
Yep.
then most people see Noah Lyles. I think he's probably like, let's just say he's 5'10" to 6 foot. I don't even know if he's that tall. I'm not sure, but
Right. Yeah. I don't know his height or anything.
and he probably weighs like 170 or something like that. So
Yeah.
like people who are 200 plus, you're not supposed to be in
Yeah.
a race.
They're not supposed to be moving that fast,
Yeah,
man. And
you're
he was
not
yeah,
supposed
like
to.
he was I think I did see the race and he wasn't like crazy lagging behind being, probably 220, or maybe like 215.
Yeah.
Um, but like those guys move, man. Like they're in the gym, they're working hard, and they're just monsters.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, just putting them in a racing standpoint, I think that they would excel for sure.
But the reason why I kind of got on that tangent was because like there was just people that I noticed that it just seemed like technique wasn't it didn't matter for them. And then other people who were the smaller people, they had great technique. Like my senior
Yeah.
year when I was winning state and or not winning state, but winning the region and whatnot, there was a guy who I met who was in 10th grade and he was probably about I'm 6 foot and about 220, 230 at this point. And this guy was probably like 6'2", 6'3", and he was very lean and he probably weighed like 180 or something like that. And I
Mhm.
threw discus probably about like dang, what was the furthest I threw? It was like man, it might have been like 100 and something feet, right? I can't remember how far. And this dude was
Right.
launching them, I think close to 200 feet. And I was
Wow.
like,
No kidding.
what in the world? Like
Right,
it
yeah. You
lowered,
don't look, hey, something's up, man. Something's up. You don't look like you can do that.
but
I,
he,
I would say technique is like for a lot of smaller guys, like some people are genetically blessed, right? These big dudes that are just throwing a stick and then sitting back down, don't even have to take their next three attempts, you
yeah,
know? And there's the other kid who's been building up his technique to throw even farther and farther. You know what I mean? So I think that you can be genetically blessed, but technique helps so much. Those guys who are genetically blessed to get to where they are and then use technique, monsters.
yeah,
Like it's just chump change for them.
absolutely. So how
Yeah.
did you feel about racing against other people? Like, did you feel like when you know, confidence is one thing, but like
Yeah.
looking over and like seeing, you know, imagine you step on the line and there's a guy that looks like DK Metcalf, you know, that you're next to. Like, how do you feel
Yeah.
when you get to races?
You know what? I wasn't really scared. I wasn't really I knew what I could do and I knew that if I doubted myself, because it's all about the start. So for people who don't know, when you're doing a sprinting event, you got to be locked in. You got to be locked in. Um, Once you start 1 millisecond, you're thinking about, oh, what do I have to do today? Or are my feet are in the right place? What is my dominant foot? You know what I mean? Just like stuff like that. You got to be locked into what you're doing, or you'll miss that second, and then you'll already be 4 steps behind. You know. So, but I knew what I could do, and at that time, I didn't have. I was a lighter guy. I was probably like 130 pounds. You know what I mean? Like yeah, dude. 19 years old. I was probably 130 pounds, shredded, you know, soaking wet, right? And I knew my feet can move pretty quick, and I knew my steps, and I knew that if there was somebody better than me, I would want to train with that guy.
Mm.
And I knew that nobody else was working harder than me, kind of thing. So I wasn't ever really scared. I wasn't really ever because I know a lot of people when they get up to that starting line, you have them nerves, right? But that's like use that as fuel when you're getting up there. That's your fuel, man. That's your adrenaline. That's like you get to the end of the finish line and look up on what you got, kind of thing. Uh, but yeah, I wasn't really ever scared. I just knew what I could do, and I just went out there to have fun and race and just to compete, pretty much.
So usually when we think about genetics, as you were talking about earlier, we usually think about like somebody with like they look great. Um,
Yeah.
did you feel like you genetically was just fast? Like some people are big and they don't have like muscle and then they're strong. Like we talk about like farmer
Yeah.
strength, like you talk
Yeah.
about,
Yeah. Yeah. Farm strength. Yeah.
but like
I did
feel like
feel,
you
I
just
don't
had
know, I think I
speed.
felt that way.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say I was lean enough to where at the point where I didn't have a lot of weight to hang on to, but I knew how to move. Like I
Mm,
was really, really quick. I would say I was pretty strong for that point, like my bottom half. My bottom half was really strong. Um a lot of less weight to carry, you know. And I also worked on my technique. I thought that was pretty important for me. My turnover for people who don't know what a turnover is how fast you move your feet to like just to get to that rhythm. Um, but I would say am I genetically blessed? No, it wasn't all genetics, which is not. I would like to say genetics. It's not for everybody. Like it doesn't happen to everybody is made differently. Everybody is uh thinks differently. Maybe you have uh maybe you're a really strong guy, right? But then there's of uh that mental block of not like getting the next lift. Or maybe if you're really small but really fast, you're just like, oh, I don't know. I would just say that that's just the way I felt.
Some
Yeah.
something that always I think is interesting is when they get football players mic'd up and then you can like hear their
Yeah.
conversations on the sidelines.
Yeah.
And it's just
Hmm.
so interesting to hear like one, the things they talk about are crazy, but like two,
Yeah.
like the way that they carry themselves during a game. Like a lot of people think like, oh, professional football players, they're just like aggressive all the time and they're just like these mean dudes. But like some of them are the funniest, most like unfocused people when they're playing. And you're like, this is blowing my mind. Like this dude is being
Right.
goofy
Yeah.
this
Just
whole
another day at the office for them, man. Just
yeah.
another day at the office. Like I think we actually did a segment because we had our own TikTok, like Gen Z and TikTok, you know what I mean? Like that was our thing. And getting mic'd up, reading ready for a race, talking to your person next to you on the line, like saying some funny stuff, you know
Oh,
what I mean? Like really like psyching them out, you know what I mean? Like, hey, your shoes untied. And then they look in their shoes and like stuff like that, you know what I mean? Like it's just like funny stuff. And those NFL guys, like you just said, like talking trash, say after a big hit, they're like, good hit, big fella. You know what I mean? Just like, I would say that like the commentary, it's a lot different from a third person perspective with actually being on the field or track.
yeah. I remember when I played football in high school, like I was always like super serious. Like I didn't like cutting up. I didn't like my teammates cutting up. Like I was just like so tense. And I remember this one game, we like my team wasn't playing well and we were playing like a county rival. And they're not supposed to be a good team. Like we knew that we could like win a state championship. We had the talent level to do that.
Oh, no kidding. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, but like our team, just this one game, we weren't playing that well. And my coach, it was like halftime or something like that. And my coach looked at me, he was like, Jackson, like, I need you to like, go out and do something. And I just started playing loose. And like one of my teammates said the same thing. He was like, man, I can feel it. Like, you're going to have a great game today, all this stuff. And I was like, all right. But after my coach
Right.
kind of said that, like he needed me to be a leader, step up, all this stuff, like I just got loose and just started like making jokes and messing around with people and trying to like, build the
Yeah.
morale of the team. And like I ended up playing phenomenal. Like I played
Yeah.
so a linebacker, I'm making a lot of tackles. I ended up a ball got tipped in the air and I picked it off and took it back like 93 yards. I recovered a
Oh, dude, you must have been feeling on top of the world
I
after
was,
that. Dude, that is when you're loose. Like
yeah.
that is a loose. That's awesome, dude.
And it was I can only say it was probably those things were happening probably because I just started playing loose. Like I wasn't so tight like I usually am. Like I'm usually just so
Yeah,
like focused and like angry when I'm playing football. But like that
yeah,
one game, I just let loose and I had a phenomenal game.
yeah. That's awesome. I would say the same thing with track. When I would say like you have to be locked in, um, that's a term for just a person like if you like just for me, it's like you're locked in, but you can't be like this. You know what I mean? Like relax. You can be relaxed and focused at the same time. Like it can be done.
Yeah.
So like a lot of folks, um, they just are like super focused on what they're doing and like just like this, and just like not seeing the whole picture. Where if you just like were to relax a bit, just like to calm down, take a breath. I see a lot of people even in at work, at the job, like being a sales guy, they're like, "Oh, I gotta make the sale. If I don't make my quota by the end of this month, then I won't get my bonus," kind of thing. And in sports and in the real world, it's the same thing. And just if you take a breath, step back, and look at what you're actually going to accomplish, um, you'll just be so much better off. And just like in that story that you just told, how much better did you do? Like 93 yards, that's not short. That's not a short distance. That's you got 7 more feet and touchdown.
Yeah.
So, or 7 more yards, excuse me.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I think that that feeling of as you said, like being loose but also focused, like to me, that's what most athletes call being in the zone. Like when you're just
Yeah.
like I don't know, like you just feel so just like loose and like nothing can bother you, but yet you're still focused. Like that's to me,
Hmm.
that's being in the zone. And I mean, we
Yeah.
see athletes do it all the time where they just seem like, like a Steph Curry. It just seems like he can't miss a shot. But he's not like, super angry or intense or anything. He's just out there playing his game and it just seems like he
Right.
can't.
He's just balling, dude. He's just balling. Congrats to them just hitting 4,000 threes.
Yeah.
Like double, that is literally double his previous shooters, Ray Allen. Like he has like 2,000 more shots than him. You know what I mean? And he was an excellent
Like,
player. Crazy stuff. And you watch his game. I've been watching a lot of the Warriors games. I'm a big Bucks fan, but I like to watch other players like hit milestones like that. And just his shot is just so, fluent. You know what I mean? Like it's not stiff. It's not like I'm super focused on making this shot so it goes in the basketball hoop. Like it's like he's just shooting the ball, man. Just shooting the ball and it goes in, right? It goes in and um he's just like he's focused enough where he can be he's just in his game. He's just in his bag and he might not look like super serious, but it's not because he's not focused. It's just he's just in the rhythm, man, in the zone. Like you said, that's a perfect way of putting it, in the zone, man.
yeah, I mean, there's a couple people I would say that seem more serious, and it seemed like they were like hyper focused, like an MJ or a Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
They just seem
Yep,
more like
definitely.
intense, focused people. But yeah, people like a Steph Curry, and I would say maybe like Anthony Edwards. I would say Giannis is kind of like that too. Like they just have more of a like they're just kind of having
A
fun.
loose playing style.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. And just they excel. That's why they're in the pros. Like that's what got them to be a pro is like just being in their bag, playing the game, being focused, training hard, you know. Um, I would say like even other players, like even these young guys, like John Morant, I think he's like the most loose hooper. Like just like watching him, and he's just jumping so high, like yamming on people, like just like crazy stuff. And I think he's not too serious looking while doing that.
yeah. So speaking of that, I've never like been to a professional sports game before, and my company we have like season tickets to Memphis Grizzlies games, and we were going
Yeah,
to take
that's why I brought up Ja, because I
yeah,
know that you're from Memphis.
and we took a customer to a game, and the one of the account managers, I basically kind of brought this opportunity up to work with this company, and he was like, "You want to take them to a game?" I was like, "Sure." I was like, "I know they're big Grizzlies fans," so we took a couple of the employees at the company to the game, and it was just like cool, just seeing those guys just up and close and personal instead of just like on TV. And yeah, like
Yeah,
John, he's just jumping out the gym, like just it's
yeah,
it's it's just really cool to see in person for sure.
yeah. I agree. That's cool that you're taking your customers that enjoy that too. Like me, I'm sure like not all those guys were big basketball fans, but just being in that environment with these guys doing crazy stuff that you don't see every day. When we were in Milwaukee for that training, like I said before, I'm a big Bucks fan. Seeing Giannis and Dame and like those guys, I was like, dude, I got to see them in real life, not just on TV, doing crazy stuff. And they won both nights that I watched them. Like just seeing like your team win, too, doing all this crazy stuff. It definitely does. It makes you feel good just like watching that happen in real life.
Okay, so you are in school for what'd you say again? It was
At first it was biology.
biology. So
Yeah.
what what was the plan? Like you were going to school for biology and you were going to get out and do what? Like what were you thinking?
So I wanted to be a marine biologist, uh, and I live next to no ocean. Okay, like which was pretty cool, which was a pretty good thought. I loved the ocean, man, and upstate New York, it's a lot of forests, a lot of lakes, no ocean though. But yeah, that was my dream. I wanted to be a marine biologist. I got accepted to the University of Maine for marine biology, so I was going to do 2 years there and then 2 years up in Maine. Um, when I got into my classes, my first semester. I was just noticing that I wasn't really engaged with everything that what they were putting in front of me. Um, uh, I think that there's a thing like being homesick,
Hmm.
like being homesick. Like I was, 3 hours away from my house, and I didn't know what I really wanted to do. Like as soon as that hits you, dude, like it hits you like a ton of bricks. Like, is this really what I want to do for the
Hmm.
rest of my life, kind of thing? And being in college, that hit me like a ton of bricks, and I took it just the wrong way. Like, I started like doubting myself, And I think in college, for a lot of kids, like as soon as they get out on their own and problems hit, not all of them take it with a grain of salt and get back up,
Yeah.
kind of thing. You know what I mean? And that's later in life, that's what I didn't do is get back up. I just was like in the dumps. I hated, I just hated my life. And that's like a lot of kids. Like I think my generation is like the saddest group of people.
Hmm.
Like we're on antidepressants, anxiety, like that's a big thing, right? Just all these things that just like affect us. And for younger people, it just really gets them down, man. And we just need to find a way for to pick our youth up. I really wish that there was somebody at that school that would have helped. I had a lot of help. I'm not saying that I didn't have a lot of help. Um, Pride. I had a lot of pride too. Like, oh no, I could do this myself, this, that, and the other thing. Like, I'm a big boy. I didn't know shit, okay, about anything. Being 18, 19 years old, you think you know everything? No, you don't. You know
Yep.
nothing. Nothing. So you're like, oh yeah, I can do it. I can make it out, whatever. And I just didn't believe in myself. I didn't make the actions to succeed. Like being in the college lifestyle, right? I mean, did you go to college?
Yeah, I went to Jacksonville State University in Alabama, and I
Okay, so big school.
it's I think we had like 7,000 people in the school or something like that.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we probably had the same amount of
I
people.
think we were a
Uh,
D2 when I was in the
oh
school.
yeah,
They were a D2, but they just moved up into shoot, maybe the Sun Belt. I forgot what conference they're in now.
right. Yeah, we're in SUNYX because state of New York, all state schools, and like being in that college atmosphere, it really does something to you where you don't really care about. You could get caught up in all the fun parts,
Hmm.
right? The drinking or the staying up late or the girls, right? Like for dudes, like the girls. Um, I just found myself getting caught up in that, and it wasn't who I was. I just woke up one day and I was like, I can't look at myself because this isn't who I'm supposed to be.
Hmm.
So this isn't what I'm supposed to be. This isn't supposed to be what I'm doing, and I knew it, and I knew it. So when I left that, it was hard to get back to like everything that I ever cared about was like kind of gone. Like all the friends that I made up in Potsdam, That's where I went with Sooty Potsdam. All the friends that I made, all the people that were trying to help me along the way, and I just didn't see them helping me. Like I thought I was like super alone, you know. And when I come back home, like now what?
Mm.
Now what? What are you gonna do? Are you gonna sit there at home in your parents' house, right? Because you come back, being a 19-year-old kid saying, "Hey, mom, I didn't want to do what I was setting out to do." That doesn't really go that well, guys. It doesn't really go that well. So, are you just going to sit at home, and waking up at noon playing video games, or are you gonna get your ass out of bed and go do something with your life? You know, you gotta get up and like actually have some drive to like get stuff that you want. And I think that's another problem is once you get down to that point, that depression, that anxiety, um, you can't just stay there, man. You can't stay there. You got to get up. You got to get up and you got to go and do something, and it will benefit you.
Mm.
Whatever that you do. Maybe you want to get into politics. Maybe you want to get in the gym. That's what I did. That's what I did. Like you're super depressed. What do? Go and get in the gym and lift some weight, dude. Like I couldn't bench 135 to save my life. I was just like super sick after school. Like drinking all the time. I wasn't as strong, like when I was doing track, when I was doing that part. Like you're in season, you're in shape, whatever, and then you're out of season. Now you're drinking beer, smoking weed, and like just stuff like that. So then you lose a lot of that strength.
Mm.
You lose a lot of that whatever. So then when I left, now I'm trying to whatever, getting back in shape. And now I feel like I'm in the best shape of my life. I gained 40 pounds over the course of a year and a half of being 165 lean. And it makes me feel good,
Mm.
you know, getting out of a nice workout. I'm sure you're a big guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're a big guy. So you know exactly what I'm talking about. When you're say you had a hard day at work, right? What are you looking forward to now? You're looking forward to going in the gym, working out, getting a good pump and leaving and then feeling better. Because you know what I mean? Like just that feeling of just feeling better, bettering yourself, bettering your mind, muscle connection. Um, I what helped me out too was like I reached out to Bucked Up Supplements
Mm.
and I was like, I really want to like be an ambassador because I want to get big. Right? So then they were like, okay. So I have a code with Bucked Up Supplements, and they're sending me like free pre-workout and protein and stuff, and trying that like through my fitness journey, and it's been awesome. So,
So what's Bucked Up Supplements? I've never heard of them before.
it's just like a normal supplement company. They do like pre-workouts, proteins, um, uh, gym apparel, um. mm, I don't know. There's just a normal supplement company like Rise Protein
Okay.
or
Yeah.
like Blah. I don't know if you've like heard of those ones or
I've heard of Ride.
Huge Supplements. Just a supplement company.
Do you know where they're based out of?
No, I don't. That's a great question. I don't know.
When you said it, I was kind of thinking of like Ohio because like Buckeyes.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
but
No, like I don't really know. I had to take a bunch of classes uh to like not a bunch of classes, but like a bunch of videos to like know what you're talking about. And being an ambassador, you gotta like post on your social media like once a week or like a couple times a month.
yeah,
Um, I don't know where they're based off of, but you get to learn about like their products and what they make and how much stuff that they put in it, like beta alanine and if you're taking your creatine, what's the creatine ratio of like how much water you should put with it, just like stuff like that.
hmm, that's
But yeah,
interesting.
just a normal supplement brand.
So you basically went through a lot of changes in your life,
Yeah.
physically and emotionally, and you kind of hit a point to where you had to like reevaluate kind of who you are. And I think that that's something that a lot of, I think older people, like they get it, they understand it, but I don't think that they understand, as we were talking about earlier, like your generation is insane. Like, so how old are you?
22.
22.
I
So
just turned 22 in February.
So I'm 32 and I can like tell the difference in people who are like, let's just say like 27, so 5 years younger than me, and then the people who are like 22, because like
Yeah.
there's just the age gaps are, it's almost like mentally the age gaps are getting bigger because
Mhm.
technology and the world is changing so much that it's almost like, we have like the great generation and then like baby
Yep.
boomers and all that stuff. It's
Yep.
almost
Gen
like
X.
that gap of time, because it's usually like 20 years or so.
I
I
forget what it is. We have this conversation in my office all the time because I work with a bunch of guys that are older than me.
mm,
Like we got Gen Xers, we got millennials, right? We got some millennials in there, and I can definitely tell in the demographic of my office of like what I think compared to what a Gen X guy thinks, you know?
yeah, I think that age gap of like similarities and like what those people feel is getting shorter or smaller.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
people, I would say probably about 5 years or so. Like people are drastically changing, whether it's
yeah. I agree.
how you feel, how you like go throughout your day, how you react to things, like
Hmm.
how you deal with situations. That age group is getting shorter and shorter because of just like how the world is just like
Yeah,
moving.
I completely agree. A couple things that I would like to touch on with like generational stuff, like we had the internet,
Yeah.
right? Being like sucked in. Like I think that's the big one.
Yeah.
Growing up with iPhones and iPods, and dude, I remember my iPod. The thing was sick, right? Like you had your freaking iPad or your um iPod Mini or the colors, right? I didn't personally have one, but you know, like just that generational span
Yeah.
uh of just like technology and stuff, like your iPad, right? Being sucked in to the internet was a big thing, I think, for a lot of kids growing up, um, like with social skills, right? I can't tell you how many people I want to have a conversation with, right? It's just like, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, right. Instead of engaging like we're doing right now.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you how much that just grinds my freaking gears, man. Like if I'm gonna have a conversation with you, if you're not looking me in the eye, buddy, I'm going to say something. You know, like, hey, like, my eyes are up here, man, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Uh, but and that's what I think that we've lost is we have all this tech, we have all these communication things, and we're not communicating.
Yeah.
We're not communicating with each other, man. Like, I just don't understand how that can even be possible. We have the most tech, the most knowledge about the tech, right? Of knowing how to use it. My grandfather, he doesn't know how to use a phone. He didn't know what the internet was till like 2014. You know what I mean? Like, I just can't fathom why we are this disconnected from other people when we are the most connected generation of the world, you
Yeah.
know? Um,
I think
and just
somebody
to,
should definitely like, they should have a documentary about how this the technology, how, and even earlier when you were talking about when you left for school and then like you come back home and you said you had the feeling of being alone. It's like, is
yeah,
that not crazy? Like you can connect to
dude,
people around the
dude.
world, but yet you feel alone.
Right. Dude, I was down bad, man. Down bad. Like I wasn't supposed to be there. I felt like I wasn't supposed to not be in school. I wasn't supposed to feel like this. Like I'm a pretty joyful person. Like I really like a lot having fun. Right. I'm always the person that's like, let's go do something, you know, cracking jokes, whatever. And I think that that's a good personality about me. And I didn't think that I was worth nothing.
Mm,
Like just as just such a failure, you know, just like coming back home and having nothing, right? And being with my twin brother, he was the best, man. You know, your siblings, your best friend, like take that person and keep them close to you, because that person can get you out of a lot of stuff. And I kind of kept a lot of stuff from him when we were going through that, like just how I was feeling. We'd be in the same room, like he'd be doing homework. and I would get a question wrong and be upset and then shut my laptop when it's due that night, kind of
Mm.
thing. Like I just didn't believe that I could do it, and then just gets to a point where it's too late. Like now you can't go back on your, oh, I couldn't do it, but yes, I can now. It's not how it works. So, for a lot of kids, I think you gotta know who's with you and who's not. Your social groups. I think that's a big part of college. I think um being a part of college and your social skills, right? I think that was a big thing. Um, like your cliques, right? You know what cliques not for you, kind
Mm.
of thing. Like say you're with a bunch of kids that don't do their homework, right? You are who you hang out with. Like you're gonna stop doing your homework. You're gonna stop caring about what you actually care about. Um, which I had a lot of great people. It was actually more of a me thing. I didn't think that I was smart enough. I didn't think that I was clicking. I didn't think that I was worthy of uh, getting an A, or I think I thought I was stupid. Like, man, I can't get this, and I'm not going to go search for help, so I must be dumb.
Mm.
I just must be. And I think that's a lot. I think a lot of people feel that way. And man, I'm telling you right now, whoever's listening to this and feels that way, you're not alone and you're not stupid. Everybody learns at different paces, and you got to get up. You got to stop feeling that way, right? You have to stop feeling that way and get your ass in gear, man. Like it will literally help you. It will help you out to the point where once you're done, which you're never done, by the way, you're never done. There's always stuff that you can accomplish. Um, Once you get to that point and look back and you're like, dude, I was just so silly for thinking that way. I'm just so like, imagine if you were thinking the way you are now back then. Like, dude, you'd be so farther ahead. I mean, hindsight's 2020, right? But still, just that thought of what you said. I really appreciate what you said because that's exactly what I was feeling. It was such a cultural change for me, or such a enlightening change where I was like, holy cow, what am I doing? What do I want? You know? And I feel like that, um, being 19 years old, thinking that way definitely was a benefit. It was a benefit for me. Like to get that, like nobody's coming to save you kind of thing. Like you have to get up, man. Like you have to get up and you got to go to, do what you have to do to succeed. And you might not want to do it, but life doesn't care. Life doesn't care. And if you keep pushing for what you want, you're gonna get it. And there is people along the way that will help you, but you still have to want it yourself. So it's a little TED talk there.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
And I think like something you had just said made me think about like I'm not a huge boxing fan or anything, but like fighting sports are literally like the biggest analogy for what life is, the biggest metaphor for what life is, because it's people are watching you and people, they see you and you have people in your corner who are backing you and you're just, you're in there fighting. Your life is just you versus whoever. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like, for boxing, you get knocked down, you get a chance to get up, and that's on you.
You get a chance. You can't just stay there, man. You can't do it.
And people are watching you, and it's up to you if you want to get up or not. And if you can go back at it, then just go back at it. And I think
Yeah.
that's the beauty of sports. That's the beauty of life in general. I'm not a huge fan of the 12th place trophies. Like,
Hey, neither am I, man. If you win, you win, and you got there because you worked out. You worked everybody in the arena. Like you wanted all the smoke, right? You're just like now you get the belt. Like you win. I agree completely. The 12th place um participation award kind of mentality is not something that I agree with either. Should everybody be appreciated? Yes. Yeah, to an extent. But when you're in a competitive um, state like that, if you're in a competitive state like that, you you win. Like
yeah.
you're there to compete. Like that's the same thing. Being locked in to win, like not just to be there to have fun, which everybody wants to have fun, but you're there to win. Like that's I've never heard of that analogy of like being in a boxing ring about life, right? That one just there. That was awesome, and I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna use that for sure.
Because like you have to think so many people we go through situations to where like you have a plan. And I think Mike Tyson said this, like everybody has a plan until they get hit in the face. And
Yeah,
that's life. Like you have a
yeah,
plan. You think you know what you're doing, especially like what you said around that 18, 19-year-old, you think you know everything. And then
right.
like you get hit in the face and you're like,
I
oh,
got hit in the face a lot. Okay, I got hit in the, and a lot of it was self-inflicted.
yeah,
Because I would say, a lot of my people's problems, not everything happens for a reason, and it's because of the choices that you make, and a lot of those were just self-inflicted. So you'd skip class, right? Because you're like, I don't want to get out of bed today, because I'm super depressed and I know that I'm gonna fail anyway. What happens, right?
oh.
You're Yeah, you fail, dude. I'd like you were right. You're right, dude. Like um I just don't understand looking back on it. Looking back on it, I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Get off. Like I'm just like so mad. Oh, and I did okay, like with classes, I did okay, right? But I didn't do what I was meant to do,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Like I didn't excel in everything. And then when I didn't excel in everything, then I just gave up. I just gave up, and just that one thing, and I stayed in that place, man, and you can't be there for long. You can't be there for long, dude.
And something I was thinking about as well with the whole generation thing is like older people really need to understand like the things that people your age go through as
Yeah.
far as like the exposure to
Hmm.
everything. Like when
Yeah.
older people, when they were like, if you're in your 60s, when you're in your 20s, you were shielded from the world. Like
Yes. Yeah.
try watching something on TV. Like you
Hmm.
have a TV? Crazy.
Correction.
So like they only knew what was in front of them. Like that was
Yeah.
all they had. So like okay, here's another great analogy. Like try being a jockey and running a race with the horse that doesn't have the blinders on. Like those
Yeah.
blinders are there
Right.
to
That
keep
is a
that
good
horse
one.
focused.
Yep.
And if that horse can just see everything around it, it might not even finish that race, let alone
Yeah.
do well. So
Right. Literally. Mhm.
that's the youth today. They're running a race
Yeah.
without blinders. They're
I
able to
agree.
see
Or they are completely blinded.
everything.
Like they don't even know where they're going, right? They're just going, and that's because somebody told them to do that, and they're not thinking for themselves, right? I think that being in the position that I was, I'm just so blessed now for going through that. Like when I got home, just to get like a little personal, dude, like I didn't have a car. I had a car, but now I don't have a car because I was blessed enough to have a parent that gave me that car to go to school, right? To go to school and finish and whatever. And I didn't do that,
Hmm.
right? I just like, hey mom, I don't want to do this anymore, right? I'm just super depressed. I'm super sad, and I want to come home, right? And as a parent, I think that at that point she was like, I'm just so disappointed, man, and like I'm super disappointed. And she knew I could do better, right? So when I got home, I had no car, I had no phone. I I was lucky that I had a place to stay, right? And I was so mad at that point, like, man, everybody's against me, nobody believes in me. But that's the point, is she did.
Hmm.
And she wanted me to get up and go and get my own phone plan and buy my own car. And you have to be kicked in gear because if you're not in gear, man, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Like it's just like you can't I can't emphasize this enough is when you're feeling like nothing is going your way, if you feel like you're stuck, what are you going to do about it? Like
Hmm.
you have to move. You have to get up. You have to make some move. You got to make some moves. Like that's really just the only thing I can really tell you. I'm like going into detail. I I didn't know anything. Like how do I get on a phone plan? How do I put a loan on a car? How do I like they're also not teaching you this in school.
No.
First of all,
No.
which is right. I know what MX plus B is, but I don't know how to like take out a loan for a mortgage, right? Or healthcare, even better. Like we're going to, the Mickey D's, right? Let me go get a sandwich, right? And it's like 700 calories, dude.
Yeah.
Like just like the stuff we're eating and the stuff that we're taught is not the same thing as you learning uh what's a good way of putting it? Somebody telling you that you should learn something, right? And you learning it for yourself are two different things,
Those
right?
life experience skill points.
Yeah, it's definitely the life experiences, and I'm glad that I went through that. I wish that I would have learned it a little earlier? Yeah, right? Yeah. But I'm really happy where I am now. And I think that it happened early on enough where I could recoup. Say you had this like midlife crisis. I had like an early life crisis, thank God. Like if I'm on my like 50s and I still don't know what I want to do, you can achieve it. You can achieve it, and that's not true that you can't, but it is definitely a lot harder to recoup, you know?
Yeah.
So being 19, I had to figure something out. I had to figure something out, and now I'm here. I just got in the beginning of April. I'll be an account manager, which is really awesome for me. That's like that starter into sales, right? Being a sales guy, and that's what I wanted to do. And I'm really happy to be in the position that I'm at and the people that were around me to help me out. So,
That's awesome. And I
yeah,
think like just hearing your story of how you got to where you're at is the epitome of somebody who didn't take the failures for granted. Like you accepted where you were at, you accepted what was going on, and then you decided.
acceptance was key. I think a lot of people, when they fail, they're like, "Oh, that wasn't my fault. That wasn't my fault. It was the environment or the situation or somebody else." Um, but then I think what really helped me wasn't me. Did I screw that up? Did I not take the steps to succeed? And the answer was yeah, man. And that happens with everybody. That happens with everyone in different things. Like I didn't get this done because I didn't do this. And I went through a lot like that a whole year. I had a girlfriend in school and she helped me out, whatever. And I mean I'm happy to be away from her because wow. Like that was even another thing. I couldn't help my own problems, try helping somebody else's,
Yeah.
right? And then you're not helping yourself at all, man. Right. So it was just like a spiraling thing of I wasn't good enough and I had to help this person. And what do I do when I'm in a corner? I'm just going to stay there and cry.
Hmm.
Right. No, don't do that, fellas. Don't do that. Like just getting out of that spot and um, really turning your life around was definitely key. And I was scared. I was scared, right? Being a little vulnerable, I was scared. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know um, what people were gonna think of me, right? You come back home and oh, hey, baby, what's going on, man? You feeling okay? Yeah, just
Hmm.
going through life, whatever. And like, oh, are you still in school? Ooh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm doing this, and they're like, oh, okay, well, it's not for everybody, um, which is right, but just don't care about what other people say. Like, your grind, your hustle. Um, I think that even like your peers don't do. I'm telling you, fellas, if you're watching this right now, don't give a shit what people think about you. I'm telling you right now, it literally will help you out. It will. like just like going through and pushing out all the reeds, right, to get to the other side. Like that is what you need. You have to achieve that. And there's always going to be reeds in your way. It's just inevitable. Like I'm sure you had a lot of reeds too. I'm talking about me. Like I'm sure that you had plenty of issues,
Yeah.
right? Just plenty of issues. And I felt like I had everything. Like, I was blessed enough to go to college. And some kids aren't blessed enough to go to college. I had it not paid for, but I was getting support from, I mean, God bless my parents, right? They were very supportive. Um, and then you not supporting yourself is heartbreaking to them, man.
Yeah.
Like it's just I can't imagine what my parents were worried about me, man. They were worried of like what I was gonna do, and I was just so scared of letting them down. I think that's another thing is letting the people that you love down was a big thing for me because I love my family. I love my family, and I feel like because my brother, I was actually supposed to graduate this year, which was, and I'm seeing my brother, and we were supposed to do it together,
Hmm.
right? And I feel like I let him down in that regard, that I'm not standing up there on stage with him with my gown and cap, you know what I mean? And that really breaks my heart, but I know I'm in a better spot, and he knows that too.
Yeah.
I'm in a better spot. Um, I have a girlfriend now. I've been with her for a year and change, and I love her, and she really helps me out. Um, I got a lot of big plans with the money that I'm making. I'm making really good money. And being a sales guy too, a new promotion, a new challenge, right? I really think um that I'm just meant for so much more, and I'm just getting started. I'm just getting started, and for the folks that are watching, um, I hope to you that you find that. I really hope to you that you find that, and when you succeed, it's just gonna feel so good. You're gonna sit back in your chair, and you're gonna look, and you're gonna be like, "Oh man, I did that." Kind of. So,
Something you were talking about is something that I've thought about before, but it's the idea of that people who end up becoming really successful are people who usually own their mistakes. Like they
yeah,
don't blame every external factor. And
I
always, I heard a phrase a long time ago that I just absolutely love and 100% believe in. And it was like, life is 10% what happens to you and 90% of how you react to it. And
Yes,
that's,
that is a perfect way of thinking that. The
yeah,
way that you react to situations is everything.
yeah,
Like, say that you get a flat tire. Are you going to bitch and complain that you have a flat tire? Or are you going to go and grab your spare and put it on and drive away?
yeah.
That's a great point.
Because there's so much stuff that's happening to you all the time. But in reality, it's the things that are happening to you are because of how you reacted to the last thing. So if one thing is happening to you, it's because of prior decisions that you
Yep.
made from either
Yeah.
an hour ago or yesterday. And that's how
Yeah.
you got to the point that you're currently at.
Yeah. I agree. Like my peers, like my best friends, right? They're like, you are so much happier now. Right? I was pretty happy growing up. Like, oh, dude, you're always happy. I wish I could be as happy as you, whatever. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I have everything I want. Um, and I'm blessed, right? And then I went to college, and then I was by myself, and I didn't succeed, right? I didn't take the steps to own up to my mistakes, right? And it happens to a lot of folks. But on it, when you come back on it, you want to take it with a grain of salt, which was, and like take it with a grain of salt, and you will just be so much happier because you know that was you, and you are only going to know you the best. You know what I mean? So that's what I would say is um, definitely put yourself in a position where you want to learn more. You want to learn more and own up to your mistakes, and you will become better for it.
Absolutely. And I think that the more that people feel comfortable in their own skin, feel comfortable about who they are, I think that increases your ability to one, be confident, and two,
Yep.
just perform to your best. Like Deion Sanders said it the best. He said, "You look good, you feel good, you play good." So,
Yep. I agree. I agree. And you got to look in the mirror and you got to feel and you got to look at yourself and you are good.
yeah,
Like you can't look at yourself in the mirror and be like, wow, I'm a piece of shit, right? And I am going to not take on excuse me, not take on the day. Like,
yeah,
no, dude, I look good today. I got a freshly ironed shirt, right? And I'm gonna take on the day. And then whatever I accomplish. And then the stuff that I don't, I'm gonna do it tomorrow.
yeah,
Or I'm gonna get it done that day. You see what I'm saying? Like, just like being better every day. Uh, I heard this quote, and it really helped me out. Was this too shall pass from the Bible,
hmm,
right? This too shall pass. And another one was, you just want to be better than you were yesterday.
yeah,
Like that guy is gone. Like the one I'm gonna see this podcast, you know, and then whenever you upload it, and be like that guy's gone, but I'm here today, and whatever I've learned from this podcast is now me.
yeah.
Like in the future. And I really appreciate you having me on, man. Like this is super cool.
Absolutely. I was actually about to wrap this up, but
Yeah, no.
it's been great just getting to know who you are and all the things that you've been through. And I think that it's definitely something that I think a lot of people can probably relate to. And that's really why I like started this podcast was I just wanted to understand stories that people been through, like how they grew up and
Yeah.
changes that they've had in their life, experiences, and be able to share
Yeah.
with other people.
Change is not bad.
Yeah,
It's not bad. Like change is good. That's what you want.
yeah,
Nothing's gonna ever stay the same. And
yeah.
I think that young guys got to learn that nothing's going to stay the same. Like you're supposed to be this person to provide for someone else, like in me, like my girlfriend, I want to provide for her in the future, right? And just like me looking on that future state is that's who I want to be. I want to provide for my family one day, or even my parents, right? I want to provide for them and my friends and family that have taken me, excelling me through all of my issues, all of my problems, like taking those people with you and succeeding it's probably the best feeling that you'll ever have. So,
Absolutely. You got any closing things you want to say or
um, closer. For the people that are watching that don't know who they are yet, takes time. I don't know who I am yet, but I know that I'm going in the right place. In due time, you will figure it out. You will figure it out. Don't stop. Don't put your life on hold, right? Because you're upset with yourself, which was a big thing for me. Do not put your life on hold. You know, y it will continue. The sun will still come up, right? Um, take on the day when it begins, right? So that's what I would say. Take on the day when it begins, because um, at a point it will end, and then you're gonna kick yourself because you didn't do things that you said you were going to do in the past. So that's what I would leave on. Stay hard, like stay hard, as David Goggins would say, stay hard, man. And it's gonna you're gonna figure it out, and you're gonna succeed. And for people, maybe like friends and family, if you thought that I wasn't such this wise guy, I'm not. But that's the only piece of advice that I could give. So
that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on and thank you for sharing everything. It was
yeah,
amazing.
let me know if you want to do this again. This is awesome, man. I really appreciate it.
No doubt. Awesome. Well,
Yeah, no
thanks
doubt.
for tuning in and we'll see you next time.